Well, hello the new once again from me, Leonard Wells, broadcasting as always in Studio B, here in the Giggle Mill in Haslingden, Lancashire, north of Manchester. As usual, Studio B has in attendance the finest studio engineer in the world, in fact. A very sweet chap called Adolf Apfelstrudel from Berchtesgaden in Bavaria. Unfortunately for you, he's very strict and will not permit me more than 12 digital megaburgers per broadcast, which means, as you probably already by now know, that I cannot permit you the all-time thrill of seeing and hearing my world-famously forgettable rendition of Nessun Dorma. My two little tales today both take place in a dreadful freezing cold winter, and we've had some of those in this country. In the first one, a poor man died of whooping cough. Oh, he'd had it for months. And on the day of the funeral, all the family got together and they set off in the hearse with 3 cars behind, up the steep hill, frozen roads and snow everywhere, all the fields were full of it, to get to the church at the top where the funeral would be and where they would have the service. Unfortunately, as they neared the top on a bend, the back door of the hearse swung open accidentally. The coffin slid out and set off down the frozen road at a high pace. As it entered the little village, it turned into the high street, onto the pavement, in through the chemist's shop door, and banged up against the counter on its end. And the lid came open, and the poor guy inside said, "Have you anything to stop this coffin?" Thank you. In the second tale, again in the frozen winter, as I mentioned, this concerns a man who was, every day of his life was unlucky. He felt he'd been cursed from the time he was born. He never had any luck whatsoever. So, again, it was freezing cold weather, and off they set to the church for the service, and the wife had arranged then to go on to the crematorium. After the service and the visit to the crematorium, they came back down the hill into the village and had some supper, early supper, in the local pub. And then the wife went home, and when she stood in front of the fireplace, she noticed for the first time there was a little note behind the clock on the mantelpiece. So she opened it, and it was from her late husband, and it said, "Darling, under no circumstances do I wish to be cremated. Please bury me. Here are the details of the plot I've chosen in the cemetery." Oh, calamity. So she rang round to all her relatives again, and they all got together, and the Undertaker fortunately was free, so he brought the hearse back, and away they went with the ashes to bury them. Unfortunately, halfway up the hill, the hearse lost its grip, and the wheels just spin and spin and spun and kept spinning. And the only thing that they could do, since there were no phones about, and this was in the days before mobile phones, to call the AA, they had to use the ashes to put under the wheels to get the grip for the hearse to go. Even in death he was unlucky. Thank you and good night, folks.